We had made a video just letting you know what was going on today. I'm so honored to be able to share the Word of God with my daughter. I've watched her grow up from a real young woman, worshiping God, giving God everything she had. You know, I always said it about my wife. We graduated from the same Bible college. We had the same training. And in light of vision, we're sharing what the Bible has to say, what is vision, how we get vision. I'm going to recap a little bit, and this week we're talking about how to manage vision, how to make vision stick. What is vision? It's God's plan, His will, His purpose for your life. The Bible says without vision, people perish. When you don't have revelation of what God's doing or where He's at or what's going on, you stumble around in the dark. And that's kind of what we illustrated in the video.
And I would say that's a really important clarification to make as we go into the topics we're talking about. We're not talking about vision just for vision's sake or vision just for you to get whatever you want out of life. It all comes back to what God has called you to do and accomplishing those dreams that He's put in your heart. Because if we were to go around this room, not everybody here has the same dreams and desires and gifts and things that they want to do. They're there because God made you with a purpose. And so those things that you're like, wow, that's impossible, but I'd love to do that one day. God designed you with that dream in your heart. And so it's not just like a success conference, like topic we're talking about. We're talking about don't be afraid to go after the dream that God gave you and the assignments God gave you. Not just having money or things like that just to have them. We're talking specifically in light of fulfilling and accomplishing all that God has for you to accomplish.
So many people quit because they don't think they can do it. They're afraid to even try because they're afraid of failing. Anybody who's been successful in any area of their life, financially or any other area, has made a lot of failures and mistakes and had to regroup and redo things. Very rarely does someone say, hey, I got an idea, and you just do it and it's done and you're rich. I mean, we look at some of the people, Thomas Edison, you've heard all the statistics, how many times he tried the light bulb. Thank God he succeeded. So when we talk about vision, the definition of vision, the act or power of anticipating that which will come. We said apart from God, a person can only have a hunch, a feeling, an educated guess. But with God, vision is based on facts of events that have yet to happen but will most certainly come to pass. I'm going to give you an illustration that's going to help you get this. If I had tomorrow's newspaper and I read in it that your house burnt down because a pot was left on the stove, and I was able to say, hey, when you leave the house, shut off the pot, because I saw where you were heading. That's the God that we serve. He knows tomorrow. Cisco's laughing because he has a tendency to leave things on like that. So God has the paper from 15 years from now. Yeah. And He knows the dreams that are on your heart. He knows the ones that are going to make you most happiest. So let's read the Message, Proverbs 29:18, the Message Bible. It says, if people can't see what God is doing, they will stumble all over themselves. But when they attend to what He reveals, they are most blessed. Yeah. You realize I was with my nephew. He was an air traffic controller. And he turned on the screen of the planes in his area, which was out in Long Island. He had this area, and there was a lot of planes. And then he said, watch this, I'm going to click a switch, and it's going to show all the planes over the United States, and they were red dots. The whole screen turned red. There's that many planes up in the air at one time. So if you didn't have a flight plan to say, I'm flying to this altitude, I'm going to stay on this course going this fast, and I'm going to land over there this way, that's how they know you're taking up that airspace, and no other plane is allowed to file a flight plan in that area. if you're going through life just taking off, flying wherever you want, you're absolutely going to crash.
Well, I'll go one further. Without vision, it's possible that you may never take flight in the first place, and that's the scariest part about anything.
It is. That's a
Because
good
you
point.
can have potential in you. I forget how it's worded, but they say that graveyards are unfortunately, we don't want to find a place where there's the most potential. Look in graveyards. There are so many unwritten books, unspoken messages, like untapped potential. And so even scarier than going through life and just bouncing from here to there is never even digging deep to what your purpose is, and you don't bother even reaching for what God has for you.
Yeah, whether you're worried about what people will think, which is usually, it's really all rooted in fear. You know, what do people say if I fail? You know how many very wealthy people have had to file bankruptcy several times because they tried things that didn't work, and they said, well, I'm not, you know, if you try on Monday and you don't succeed, show up on Tuesday. Yeah. Do you know how often I make a phone call to try to get something done or ask a question, and the person on the other end says, no, we can't do it, it's impossible? I hang up the phone, I dial again, and I get somebody else on the phone, and you wouldn't believe how many times they say, oh, sure, we could do it. Yeah. It's amazing that people take no for an answer so quick and so easy. People are afraid to ask because someone might say no. I've always went through life saying, what's the worst they can say? No. I'll ask for the moon and the stars. They'll say, no, I'm going to give you, this. I'm like, well, that's more than I had. Great, I'll take it. But people are afraid to even ask and dare to even try and dare to adventure. So as we read the scripture, we see, first of all, the negative side of the stumbling around when you don't have vision. But we got to look at the other side that says you're going to be blessed. And that word, sometimes people don't know, oh, I'm blessed. No, listen, everything, your finances, your marriage, your kids, staying away from disasters. I mean, it includes everything in your life. It's not just an ooey-gooey feeling. So the question is, do you believe that? The first thing we have to ask ourselves, and we ask this question, does God exist? Because if you don't have the why on a subject, why am I doing this? Why is it important that I do it? Why is it important that I do it to the letter? Why is it important that I don't compromise? Why? If you don't have the answer to why, the what and how is useless. Yeah. So you really have to start out with understanding why. And that comes down, let's read the scripture in Hebrews 11:6. I'll give him a chance to put it up. There you go.
We didn't compare notes, but so far he's stole 3 of my verses.
Well, this is the introduction from what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. But go ahead, if you have anything.
No.
Okay. See, I told you, this is my daughter. She tells me.
When you say go, I'll go.
Okay. Anytime you have something, feel free. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So what's God looking for? He's looking for faith. He's looking for you. The bottom line is to trust Him. Believe that He's smarter than you. That He knows better than you. That whatever you are, no matter how smart you are, God is smarter. He knows better. That's without faith, it's impossible. Please, God, I trust you that you know best. Then it says, because anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Do you understand the rewards? If you don't, the why is not clear. It's not clear if there's no why. If you don't settle the why, you're not going to... If you're a parent and your child was sick and they need an operation, that motivation, the why is so clear, and you'll do anything. You'll give your own life for your child if you could. But if you don't understand the why when it comes to God, you're going to be casual in your church attendance. You're going to be casual, with your finances. You're going to be casual with living holy. The Bible says that He's a rewarder of those who seek Him. And how does the Bible tell us to seek Him? Seek first the kingdom of God. So in other words, everything in your life should flow under what He told you to do first. I mean, you have to ask yourself this question. In the day and age we live in, it's not the way it used to be in church. You have to go to God and say, God, how often do I need to be in service? What's an acceptable amount of times I can miss church? Because people are like, I don't feel like going today. It's raining, it's too cold, it's too hot. I'm on vacation, I just got back from vacation. I got a busy week this week. Oh, I finally got a day off, so I'm going to enjoy it. It's amazing. But you need to ask God, how important is it to you that I be in church? And then what he tells you, seek him first, and then you schedule your life around it.
Do you have a part that I'm supposed to jump in? Or just question?
Yeah. You can jump in right now.
Well, I think we didn't necessarily communicate this correctly, but so I'm not sure where I'm supposed to.
I will tell you.
Okay.
Getting a picture into my life. Okay.
I know, I'm like, I don't know.
My concern as a pastor is that people don't really believe and trust God the way they should. And I base that on the things that they do and say. We mentioned that with finances. If you really believe that God, if you give, it'll be given back to you, you'd be a giving person. If you really believe what the Bible said about tithing, that if you don't tithe, you're robbing God and you're cursed, you'd be insane if you believe that not to tithe. And he said, test me. I dare you. Go ahead and try it. I'll show you that this thing works. I can't tithe because my bills are this. I don't have enough money. Well, I dare you to try it. Consistently for 6 months. I dare you. Yeah. And what the Bible says, that it'll pour out a blessing that you can hardly contain. Who wants a blessing that you can hardly contain? Everybody. Are you willing to do what the Bible requires for you to have God work on your behalf in that area? If you don't, I have to assume you really don't believe what that scripture says. And based on the numbers of people that are most likely tithing in churches throughout the world, it's like 15%.
Ouch.
We have the universal church, we have the Church of America, we have the local church, and then you have your life. As long as the church as a whole is not doing what the Word of God says, his power is going to be squashed. That's kind of what we're going through a little bit on Tuesday night. You need to be out there. I look at these areas, and you're going to go, I'll let you go next. When I look at the areas of forgiveness, if you really believe what the Bible says, it says, if you don't forgive, neither will I forgive you. How could you be mad or hold a grudge over people, especially over nonsense, sitting in your seat or getting a promotion above you, or they stole a few dollars from you? Is that worth God not forgiving me? If you believe these scriptures, you would forgive everybody for everything, because don't you want to be forgiven for everything? And I just make sure I make it clear that doesn't mean you're a doormat. That doesn't mean if you know someone's coming to rob your house, you open the house and let them in, or you're coming to hurt your family. Doesn't mean you don't protect your family. I could love somebody that I just knocked out. You're not hurting my family. You want help? I'll help you. Get up and try to hurt my family, I'm going to hurt you again. But if you get up and say, I'm sorry and you need my help, I'll forgive you. And we could be best friends after that, but I'm not going to let you hurt my family. So there's a balance. Okay, I'm going to, the bottom line to this is, the Bible says to be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. There's no secret formula, there's no magic, that's just as simple as it is. Seek him first. When you find out what he says, do what he says. It's really that simple. Go ahead.
All right. So, what's our theme verse? Who can tell me what our theme this month is vision? Who can tell me what that verse is? Habakkuk 2:2. All right. Can we put it up here for a second? Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. So we're taking this from a place of, okay, let's say that you've taken the time and you know those things, you know what's on your heart to do, and you know those things that God has called you to do. If you don't take time take time to hear from heaven and continually take time to hear from heaven. But let's say, okay, so you've sought it, now what? You write it down and you make it plain, because what you don't want to do is be a forgetful hearer and hear what God called you to do and then never touch it again. So before we start, I want to show this video. It's actually from a celebrity who tapped into this biblical concept of writing down and visualizing what it is that you know is on your heart, and taking that and encouraging yourself to do it. So do we have that video ready? Okay, let's watch it.
Obviously you knew somewhere inside yourself that you were destined to be famous, because I think it's really a marvelous thing, that visualization thing you did. Do y'all read about this or hear this? That you used to go up on Mulholland Drive
Jim Carrey.
Every night.
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
Right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, I like your work, or whatever that is, and I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85.
Yeah. And I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. It made me, at that time, all it really was for me was kind of making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things. They're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there.
Okay, so you would get this from what, self-help books or whatever?
Yeah, self-help section.
Self-help section.
They renamed it the Jim Carrey wing.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. And I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff. But then, just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on maybe Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber,
Yeah.
So you visualize yourself like... Visualization works if you work hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You
work
can't
hard.
just visualize and then, go eat a sandwich.
So what
Christians
he would
are
do,
good at that too.
Yeah, what he would do is he wrote that check out for himself, and he'd drive up to Mulholland Drive, and he would see these things in these rich houses, and he'd look, and he'd, in other interviews, he goes more in depth, and he says, "I'm going to receive a check, and he'd speak it. Where do you think the people who wrote the self-help books got it from? These are everything that we're going to talk about today, you could find in a self-help book, but it is from the Bible. As a matter of fact, John Maxwell, famous leadership leader. Do you guys know who John Maxwell is? Is there anybody who doesn't know who he is? Okay, so he has a lot of books like the 21 Irrefutable Laws. I actually can't name all his titles right now. There's a lot of them. But he's like very, very well known in the leadership world, and he goes to these companies, secular companies. Wow, let there be light. These secular companies, and they teach on leadership. And this one time specifically, he was at a conference, and they were like, "Where do you get this information? This information that revolutionized their business? Like, where are you getting this from?" And he's like, "You don't want to know where I get it from." Little did they know, he was actually a pastor. And then he's like, "You don't want to know where I get it from?" I'm like, yes, we want to know, like, where do you get this material from? He said, "Everything that I teach you, I've gotten from the Word of God. I've gotten from the Bible. I've gotten from God." And they were like, silent. So it's not just for other people to tap into, it is for us. And the reason I know that is, can you put Joshua 1:8 on the screen for me? God placed, now preface this, God placed dreams inside of you. God gave you things. God gave you the desire of your heart. This book of the law, the Bible, God's word, shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it, all the keys, all the things that are written in it, all those instructions God gave you. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Guys, God gave us everything we needed in His Word when we hear it and do it to accomplish what He has called you to do.
In the script, in this scripture, there's two other scriptures. Again, we go back to James 1, hear and do. Mm-hmm. And what does the Bible say? Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. You keep hearing it over again. That trust in God, it gets built in your heart. Mm-hmm. Jason Nightingale, actually, Napoleon Hill wrote a book. It's Think and Grow Rich. And the whole book is basically teaching on faith without using scriptures.
Yeah.
And again, the principles work because they've done it and they've proven it. And one of the things he says about visualization, he said, if you visualize it, something happens, and he doesn't call it your spirit because he didn't know. It builds in on the inside of you and will actually attract things to you. Let me give you an example also of, you ever see a car and you're driving, oh, that's a nice car. You've never seen it before. What's that? Then all of a sudden, oh, look, there it is again, because you had a visualization of it. When you visualize what my daughter's saying about, and what Jim Carrey was referring to, what the vision, where you want to head, when you're doing that, it builds something on your inside that causes you to look for things when you when you don't even realize you're looking for.
For example, how many of you know that God put a vision in my dad's heart and it burns within him to reach the lost? Everywhere my dad goes, he's like, who can I help? Who can I help? Because it's so, that vision is so clear to my father. It is so, like, he knows it and he runs with it. I see him everywhere he goes. You know, that's an example of when you're clear on, I mean, it's in the Word, you know, it's not necessarily just unique to him, but it is one of those things that, you know, he has that
And
gift.
going back again to the why.
The why, yeah.
I get it. Why am I like this? Because people are going to hell.
Yeah.
People are broken. Marriages are broken. Kids are strung out on drugs. Parents are heartbroken because they can't help their kids. And I have the answer. So that's the why. And if I thought people had the why, I would be seeing more.
Yeah.
People don't, I mean, I remember, I think it was William Booth from the Salvation Army. He said he wished he could have all his volunteers dangled over hell for 5 minutes, thank you. He said then they would get the why would be answered. You know, I could see, oh, that's where people are going, I gotta do something about it.
Yeah. And I'll also say, if you maybe don't understand why writing your goals and dreams down, why does it really matter? If I know it in my head, what is it, you know, why does writing it down? I want to give you some, it's biblical, but I also want to give you some scientific facts about it as well. Is that okay? So how many of you know that God created my brain? He created the way I function. I'm not an accident. Like, I was designed. I'm an intricate design by the creator of the universe, and he designed my brain to function a certain way. It's amazing what the human brain can do. It's amazing what he designed it to do. So the explanation has to do with the way our brains worked. Our brains work. As you may know, your brain has a left and right hemisphere. The wide, flat bundle of neural fibers that connects the two hemispheres is called the corpus callosum. Callosum, callosum? Yes. So this is the conduit through which the electrical signals between the right brain, which is imaginative, and the left brain, which is literal, make contact. These electrical signals then move into the fluid that surrounds the brain and travels up and down the spinal column. These signals then communicate with every fiber, cell, and bone in our body to the consciousness that operates within us to transform our thoughts into reality. It also allows us to align our frequency to a life we would love living. This is significant because if you just think about one of your goals or dreams, you're only using the right hemisphere of your brain, which is the imaginative center. But if you think about something you desire and then write it down, you also tap into the power of your logic-based left hemisphere. If you send your consciousness in every cell of your body a signal that says, I want this and I mean it, just the act, and you send your consciousness in every cell of your body that you mean it. Just the act of writing down your dreams and goals ignites an entirely new dimension of consciousness, ideas, and productivity to the powerhouse that is your subconscious mind. This simple act also opens up your subconscious to seeing opportunities, like when you see a car you like and all of a sudden you see it. This is what this is talking about. You see it everywhere. Power that is in your subconscious mind. The simple act also opens your subconscious to seeing opportunities that simply can't be observed if you're tied up with thinking about your goals. For example, my boyfriend Josh, he loves the blue, oh my God, please don't, like, I hope I don't say this wrong, blue Challengers. Is it the Challenger? Okay, it's a blue Challenger. And every time we pass one, he's like, that's my car. That's my car. Like, he would never, like, drive past it and not notice it. He put it on his screensaver in his computer. He's like, I'm going to have that car one day. Every time we pass it, he's like, that's my car. He gets, like, excited like a little boy. Like, he's probably mad at me that I called him out. But whatever. That's an example of that. And I also want to, there was a study done. Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University of California, did a study on goal setting with 267 participants. The study concluded that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals just by writing them down. There were other studies done, like around Yale or Harvard, that you might have meant that they never actually happened. They weren't disproved, but the study didn't actually happen, so I would reference that, but because it didn't happen, I'm not going to. But there was an actual study done, which, you're just by simply writing down, you know what, I feel like I'm called to preach one day. I will preach in front of 100 people, just as that I know that that's a step towards my goal. Just by writing it down, it is 40, and looking at it increases it, but just by writing it down, you are 42% more likely to accomplish that.
Let me just add here, because, I talked about, the Bible talks about our enemy. He's cunning. He's a liar. He's deceitful. He doesn't want you to get what God wants you to get. So he'll put a thought in your head right now. Josh wants a car, and that's great. And then the devil would love to take it into the other ditch. Well, I'm going to believe for a Bentley and a $10 million home, and no, now you're getting into the area of greed and
Not you, I just...
Well, not Josh. I'm just saying this is where he takes a basic truth. First of all, how do you get vision? The Bible says where there's no vision, and that translation says revelation from God. So I can't, and if I'm going to use all the scriptures, seek first the kingdom of God. Seek first the will of God. Because if I wanted to be a baseball player, and I've shared this, but I said, God, if you don't want me to make it, as I was driving to Yankee Stadium for a tryout, I said, don't even let them notice me. I don't want to play baseball if that's not your will and plan for my life. So as you're establishing vision, I want to preach to 10 million. Again, vision is progressive. You start out with preaching to 100. You don't put a vision of preaching to 1 million. You set attainable goals. And let me just add here real quick, what Jim Carrey said was so important. I see myself doing this and then go eat a sandwich. I mean, that was funny, but think about that. So in the book that Napoleon Hill wrote, Napoleon Hill wrote it, Jason Nightingale was the narrator in the audiobook. That's why I'm going back and forth. He basically said, he gave the steps to doing this, and one of them was to offer exceptional service. Always give more than what you agreed to. If you borrow something, bring it back better than what you borrowed it. He said, that attracts people to you. Yeah. People notice that. And again, just to add your attitude. Someone may be seeing, oh, that's an interesting person. They seem smart, they're intelligent, and then all of a sudden, somebody does something silly, and you go off the handle and yell at them, and they go, okay, not them. Yeah. And you could lose opportunities, and you just think, well, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You need to possess yourself and keep the flesh under and live a holy life, because you don't know who's watching and where and what opportunities you're being passed by because of a stinky attitude.
So next we're going to go into so we went over that. That's nice. What do you do with it? Because practical application of this is key, because otherwise you just hear it and you don't do anything with it, and then nothing comes as a result. I will recommend a book to you guys, and it's called Dream It, Pin It, Live It, and it's by a woman named Terry Savelle Foy. Her father's a well-known minister, Jerry Savelle, but her name is Terry, T-E-R-R-I, and even the women, she's kind of like a cheerleader. The men can read it too, but as a woman specifically, she really spoke my language. It was definitely not just specific to women, but it's like,
only. It was good.
It's a pretty cover, and that's all I mean by that. But men, it's 100, and 100% for you too. And some of the exercises that I'm mentioning, I got from her book. Amazing. And everything she's teaching is, like her father's a minister, she's a Christian, everything is Bible based. So I highly recommend it. It's called Dream It, Pin It, Live It. It's a great book and a really great read. One of the exercises that I would recommend for you to do is to go in a quiet place and set the timer for 10 minutes for the next 7 days at least. And then close your eyes and force yourself to dream about your future. And that's not easy. It's actually really difficult for people to do. If it's at 10 minutes just daydreaming, it's hard, and I find it's especially hard for mothers. And for some women too, because they spend their whole life thinking about everybody else, that they forget to take time to dream about themselves. So if it's possible, maybe you just need to say you're going to the grocery store and just sit in your car for 10 minutes before you walk in, just to get time alone. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. But imagine what you want your life to be like next week, next month, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years. What do you want your life to look like? Weight, see yourself being your dream weight. And relationship-wise, where do you want your relationships to be? Kids, your job, long-term, short-term. Think, and when you think, it's forcing you. Actually, I wanted to cover this in the beginning, and I accidentally skipped it. Why it's important to write down your goals. It forces you to clarify what you want, because otherwise it's just kind of like my dreams. It forces you to have a picture and to clarify it. It'll motivate you to take action, because when you can see yourself at your ideal weight, you're like, I gotta go to the gym. When you can see it, on my vision board, one of my pictures that I have up, I really want to stay fit after I get married and have kids. That's like one of my things that I really want to do. So I took a picture, I Googled and I searched for hours. I took a picture of a mom with like 3 toddlers, and she was like really fit, and I put my face on it. So I can see myself, which, I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't bring it in, because some of your dreams are personal, and you don't need other people looking at it and saying, you won't do that. Sometimes, and not that I wouldn't try, it's also screwed into my wall. I could not have brought it if I wanted it to. But just so you know, your dreams, like Joseph had a dream and he spoke it a little bit too soon to people who didn't really need to hear it.
That's another valuable point.
And the Bible also talks about not casting your pearls to swine. And what that means is when you have a pearl of a call, and somebody who doesn't have the faith to hook up with yours and will hear what you are called to do and be like, that's a little too crazy, they don't really need to hear your dreams. They can watch you on TV later. So it'll motivate you to take action, because it will provide a filter / attractive force for other opportunities, because it will help you overcome resistance. You saw it. You already saw it. You imagined it. And so when something tries to we'll get to that. We'll go forward, because he likes to jump in, but it's all in my notes. When you hit resistance, once you've already seen and tasted of something, you can push back on so much. And then lastly, because it will enable you to see and celebrate your progress. You can land at your goal and never even think you had a goal on it, but when you measure it and you're like, wow, I lost 10 pounds, I'm gonna have one piece of cake, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. But that's one thing you wanna be. Those are just some reasons why it's good for you to write down your goals. Another exercise, so the first exercise, yeah, you have a question? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. For example,
every time I walked off the baseball field, it was a superstition that you're not supposed to step on the line. I stepped on it on purpose.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need their negativity. I'll use an example from my personal life, and this is in my notes. I will be full-time in the ministry soon. I will be. And if you dare try to look at me and tell me I don't think that's going to happen, I would probably fight you. I would get angry. I'd get angry, because you're not going to tell. I know what I know. I've seen it, And if you tried to, I wouldn't physically fight you, but I'd probably play that in my mind of like me jumping over the table and lunging at your throat. But I would probably walk away like saying to myself like, yes, I will be full-time in the ministry. Yes, I
Devil,
will.
you're a liar.
Devil,
Get
you're a
thee
liar.
behind me, Satan.
And I just, you have to let things like that roll off your back. Is that what you're asking? Like if somebody says something to you, or when you're trying to minister to them?
I give you an example. I believe in God for the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my life, right? And, whenever I talk to my mom, for instance, who loves me very much, Mom, I'm dreaming of this great grandbaby, I'm going for an interview, I'm going to do it. She'll be like, oh my God, you have this great job already, like why are you trying, like a bird in the hand is working two in the bush, right? And so I've gotten to a point where I'm like, all right, you know what, my mom doesn't say that to me because she doesn't want me to succeed, but her nervousness could possibly be breaking this covenant that I have with God, and it creates doubts for me, and it does, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? And when I tell her that, my mom grew up Catholic,
Yeah.
and she goes, that's foolish.
I wouldn't talk to her about it anymore.
Yeah, that's the key.
And that's I know that might be hard
In
for
the
you to
book
say
that
about your mom, but
Napoleon Hill wrote of Think and Grow Rich, he talks about specifically surrounding yourself with people that will hook up with your vision and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And if someone don't understand, they don't understand. So
yeah, they're not a bad person for it,
Just
but
wouldn't discuss
what
it
you're
with
called
them.
to do is too important for you to allow opinions of other people to bring you down. It's too
Wow.
important.
That's a whole
I'm
nother
going to have to
subject.
go before God, and He's going to talk to me about what I was called to do on this earth. And I don't want to say, well, I talked to everybody else, and they didn't think it was a good idea. They didn't think I could do it. I
Guys,
don't
listen
want to
me.
look at him and
Whatever dream or goal or vision that you ever want to accomplish, I guarantee you that if you speak it out too often and too much, you are going to get a multitude, a whole bunch of people telling you why you can't do it.
Joseph was literally thrown into a pit and sold
Yes.
for slavery because God gave him that vision.
And
it
it
was
came to
truly
pass.
what God gave
It
him
was
to
from
do.
God.
He was second in command over all of Egypt. His brothers did bow down to him. But when he went and told his brothers about that was not the best idea. His brothers did not like that. So
They
you
sold
can
him
be a
into slavery.
dreamer.
They told his father
Yeah.
he died and put blood on his coat and brought it back home. And
Yeah, and you can say, well, that was supposed to happen. No, because the Bible says what the devil meant for
Yes.
evil, God turned into good, specifically about that situation.
Right.
So yeah, even though Joseph really did himself a situation there, God still he still got him to where it was. He just had to take a long road to get there. But what would have happened if Joseph would have just been silent, went to his prayer closet, built himself up in faith, and just let everybody just watch him rise to the top, like what God had done, and just taken what God sent and hid it in his heart. Now you don't always have to keep it quiet, but there are some things that I'm just going to tell my pastor about this. I'm just going to keep this hidden in my heart and develop who I am as a person. Because another thing about this is I am not the person I want to be yet. I'm growing. And the person and the things that I want to accomplish, I have to develop myself as a person in order to be those things. I can't be who I want to be in ministry where I am right now. I'm an okay person right now, but I want to develop more things in my life. And so whenever you go running your mouth about things, there is a growth that you have to do as a person before you're ready to get there. And so people might look at you, rightfully so, and say, well, you can't do that. Right now, yeah, I can't, but I dream bigger for myself, and I just don't need to hear people saying, well, I can't do that, because I know I can.
Well, I was running around Calvary Center Church as a youth minister, breaking windows and playing, putting holes in walls, playing tackle in the basement, whatever we were doing. There's nobody that would have looked at me and thought, someday he's going to be a pastor. So that vision, if you share it where you're at,
Yeah.
until you grow, it may not make sense to other people. So timing is a
Some things
big
are better
point.
kept between you and God, and then in the right time, God likes to show off. Another exercise, write down 101 things you want to accomplish. This is not as easy as it sounds. You have to get to 101, and this could be places you want to visit, books you want to read, just over your lifetime, getting this weight, doing this sort of routine in your life, 101 things that you want to accomplish. It's not an easy, you have to really dig deep. The first maybe 20, 50 come easy, but after that it's like, okay, God, What's in there that I didn't know was in there? So write down 101 things. Then, from those 101 things, take the top 10 that you are like, these are my life, these are the top 10 of things I want to accomplish. And I recommend from there, okay, so it's called the 10-30 goal challenge. Those 10 things, you write them on a piece of paper, take a notebook, and for 30 days, write those 10 goals over. And you give them specific, you write them in the present tense. So you don't write like, one day I'll lose weight. You write them specific, you write them in the present tense, and you give yourself a deadline sometimes. So you can say, let's say you need to lose like 15, 20 pounds, and you're like, you know what, I could do that in a year, maybe a year and a half, you know your life. Let's say you want to give yourself 2 years. By this date, on this year, I will reach my goal weight, or better yet, size, because you can gain muscle and not be that weight. I'm gonna just throw that out there. And I will fit into this dress or something like that, and put it there. Put that dress, put that size number on a vision board, and look at that, and you gave yourself a date. Or wait, I'm sorry, I've jumped ahead with the vision board. But write that out and write those 10 things over. Like, so this day I'm going to write them over. I flip the notebook, and you don't look at what you wrote the day previously. If you really can't remember that goal, it's not that important to you. Write it out from memory. I did this a year ago, and I was surprised. I just, for kicks, when I was preparing this, I wrote it down. I got 9 out of the 10 things, and I've accomplished 3 of them so far. So that was pretty cool, because it really made what I was going for very specific. And with that said, when you're writing your goals, you guys know the SMART goal technique, S-M-A-R-T. You have to be, S is specific. You can either write, I will have more money, or you can write, I will save $5,000 by December 31st, 2008. And then that forces you, well, how would I save? What would I have to save a month? But you write down, I will save, by
And again, if you put 10 million there,
that's why, it's one of, realistic is one of
Okay.
them. Measurable.
I'll let you finish.
I will lose weight. That's not really measurable. Like, I'll lose weight. Yeah, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Or if you write, I will lose 15 pounds. You know whether or not, if 14 you didn't make it, 15 you made it, 16 you made it. So you can measure that. And you want to measure it so you can celebrate it. S specific, M measurable, A action oriented. Use action verbs like save, earn, enroll, invest, or purchase. So you can say, I will be more consistent with my workouts, but a better way to say it is, I will work out, or I will exercise 3 times a week. You're action-oriented with that language. Realistic, don't set yourself up for failure. If you've never worked out in your life before and you want to start working out 7 days a week, I'm sorry, you don't do that to yourself, because you will wear yourself out, you'll be disappointed with yourself, and you won't accomplish it. But start realistic, like, you know what, with my schedule, I can start with 2 days a week. I can do 2 days. I can do 3 days a week. I can do 2 days cardio, and and just say, that's my goal. That's what I'm going to do, and it's realistic. Saving. You're not going to. If you're making $50,000 a year, you're not going to save $200,000 by the end of the year. And if you're not even going to save $25,000, because that's 50% of your salary. So what is right for you? What can you do on a monthly basis? And go for that goal. Maybe you can save $100 a month. Well, praise God, by the end of the month, by the end of the year, you can have $12,000 as an emergency fund ready in case your car breaks down.
$1,200.
That's $1,200. I said 12,000?
Yeah, you did.
Well, God can multiply, right?
Yes, amen.
And then timelines, deadlines are motivating. If you say, I'm going to lose 3 pounds, yeah, well, maybe you want to lose your first 3 pounds within the first 3 months. You want to have a timeline, otherwise, I'll get to it. One of my things is I want to speak fluent in Spanish, so I've been taking Rosetta Stone. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. But I gave myself a deadline for that goal. I'm not just going to say, I'll speak Spanish. I want to get it done by a certain day. I want to go to Cuba, and I want to be speaking fluently by the time I go to Cuba.
If I could just add about deadlines, sometimes you got to be careful when it comes to the subject of faith. If you start believing, I'm going to have this by this date, sometimes God's not moved by clicking on a clock.
Yes.
So when you set goals, some of them, if you can put time on them, you can. But some of these goals, like if God called me to be a pastor, a minister, I really couldn't put a time on that. But what I could put a time in is, what am I going to do to develop to be that person?
Exactly.
Right? But I couldn't put a time on the day it would happen.
Yeah.
But I could say, I will read my Bible this often, and
yes. Like, for an example, let's say you want to read the Bible all the way through. That's part of, I know I want to be a pastor one day. What can I do in the meantime and prepare yourself? Well, 5 years from now, if you read 2 chapters a day, you can read the Bible all the way through in 5 years. Maybe you want to do it in 2 years and you want to read more a day. That's realistic. So from that list, like if you narrowed it, you had 101 and you narrowed it down to 10, that's where I recommend, where Terry Savelle, I've done what she recommended. Her whole book is about how to make a vision board, how to plan your goals and stuff. That's where she recommends like taking those top 10 and printing out pictures that are that visualization of what it is that if you're believing for a new car, and maybe not like you're not believing for a Tesla, you're believing for a new vehicle, maybe a 2010 vehicle, but you want a specific car, like print out that car. If you're believing for a guitar because you're called to go into music and you want to learn how to play the guitar, print out a guitar and write underneath it, I will learn to play guitar by this date next year, So we have actually some examples of some vision boards. Do you want to show those, Stephen, for me? So this person, I searched a lot and I really wasn't happy with what I found, I have to say. I like my vision board the best out of everything, I just have to say. But they, they had a picture of a house and they want to have a baby, and you can go to the next one. They have like swimming because they're into swimming. I like this one a little bit better because it's more specific. On my vision board, if my picture wasn't specific enough, I put a description underneath it. So he wants to do an endurance, he or she wants to do an endurance race in Dubai. They want to host a travel show, become scuba certified, and they have pictures to match those goals, and they can see it. They know what it looks like. Is there another one there? Or is that? I can't remember if I had another one. Okay, yeah. So just again, they have like all these things that they can visualize and unleash your child's passion, all that stuff. And if you do make one of these, I will say make sure it's unique to you and your personality. I went to Michael's and I got all the sparkly paper, like sparkly gold, because that's me. I got some flower pins and I got some good background paper, and I made this so uniquely me. And one of the things, so I'll show you just a few examples of some things that I have put on my vision board. Can you show that the first picture? I was going to college, and I was doing 2 colleges at the same time, and I was tired. I was tired, and I have senioritis. I was just tired. And so I was like, you know what? This is before I actually read this book. So I printed this picture out, and I think I had a few months left, and I wrote down, underneath it, I will walk across that stage. And I had a countdown for a checkbox for how many weeks I had left, and every week I would check off the week. Go to the next picture. I made it. And it was so cool. Like, that was... when I got to graduation that day, I'm like, I have seen this moment before. It has brought me through my tiredness. I got there. I actually have 2 graduation pictures, but you have to put the next one up. You don't have to put the next one up. Or is that the other graduation picture? Yeah, you don't have to put that one up. It was just an up-close picture in case it didn't work. So anyway, another example I had was when I was in college. My financial income wasn't big, but I wanted to set a financial goal for what my bank account looked like. So I went online and I looked up a picture of a bank account with the number that I wanted. It was a small goal, but it was still a goal that I wanted to accomplish. So I printed it out, and eventually I did accomplish. I saved enough to where that was my goal, and I gave to get there. I didn't just hoard it, I gave. And so the day came where the amounts matched my bank account. Man, that was awesome. I didn't show that because it's your amount, my amount, And then, let's see, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I have some other, goals, financial goals. Like I wanted to sow $1,000 into somebody, and I put that in there. I will sow $1,000 into someone else by this date. And the more I see it, I'm like, I'm looking for the opportunity to do it. So, yeah. And I do want to point out that when it comes to picking pictures, that one picture, I knew what I wanted to look for. Somebody holding up their diploma because they were excited. And I looked for hours for a picture through different search engines for what, maybe hours is an exaggeration, but when you're Googling something, I was looking for a while before I'm like, that's my picture. That sums up what I want. So I had to be specific about that.